Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rutgers. Good to see you all. So I wanted to, a number of you have been asking about an update on where we are with our Big Ten Build campaign. On January 19th, the governor signed the legislation giving us $25 million of tax credits to support our efforts. And so on January 20th, we went right out and announced that we were going to be moving full force to raise $100 million total, including the $25 million of support from the governor and from the state. So today we're going to talk a little bit about where we are and where we need to go to get over the finish line here. I want to start by saying a little bit about just the incredible sense of optimism that I find out there with our supporters, Rutgers alums, folks just who care about Rutgers University, and that has been evident from New Brunswick, throughout New Jersey, down to Florida, out in California. Incredible. You wear the R, and the number of people who come up to you and are excited about where we're going, want to talk about Rutgers, it's tremendous, tremendous. I also want to make sure that before I give you the actual numbers of where we are, I talk a little bit about the people who are responsible for the effort and what we're doing here. One of the things I was told, which has been borne out when I came here, is that Rutgers has incredible people. And I think that's true, and I know that's true from our board down through Dr. Barchi into our staff and our teams. But with this effort, I've had an opportunity to work very closely with our fundraising staff. That group is led by Sarah Baumgartner, and I will tell you, I don't think there's a better person in athletic fundraising today. She has a passion for it, and part of that's born out of the fact that she was a college athlete, so she knows more than anyone what these facilities will mean to our student athletes. And she's done a lot over the years to keep everybody with that sense of purpose and that sense of direction of where we're going. So it's great. So I want to compliment Sarah on everything she's done to make all of this happen. And she's put together a great team. I am going to name them: Rich Nupp, Marco Battaglia, Maggie Long, Andy Sisti, Joe Levine, Lucy Cruz, Liz McAuliffe, Masana Lamb, and Carissa Conroy. Tremendous people, all working their tails off to support Rutgers and to build this for Rutgers. So I want to say thank you publicly to them. All right, so where are we? So I guess a little over 15 weeks in now, we have $29.3 million in cash or pledges that are committed. So if you add the state support to that, we are well over $50 million and more than halfway in our goal to get the $100 million to support the building of these three facilities. It includes the three largest gifts in Rutgers athletics history. Those gifts were made by Greg and Anna Brown, Steve Plofker and Bobby Brown, and Jeff and Amy Towers. And when I tell you, you can't do things without leadership, right there you have a group of people who are leaders for Rutgers, who want to see this done, who understand the importance and benefits of this. And they're not just generous with their resources. All of these people have offered their homes, and when somebody opens their home up and says, bring everybody in that you can, this is our moment, this is our time for Rutgers, you cannot be more pleased with it, but also awed by the commitment and the dedication of these people. So I want to say thank you in particular to Greg and Anna, to Steve and Bobby, and to Jeff and Amy. Tremendous support, and you are the leaders. You are the people who are making sure that this gets done. There are 10 gifts of $1 million or more in this. So we're talking about large support, big support, generous support by a number of people. Some of them you know about. Obviously, the Garudis stepped up and they're funding the new weight room over at the Hale Center. Again, passionate people. And so everybody who has made a contribution is passionate about this. About 90% of the support to date is to the multi-sport facility. You'll remember that that's the one that we want to build for practice facilities for our men's and women's basketball team, our wrestling, and our gymnastics program. So we've really focused on that. While we could, if somebody were to write a check for $100 million, we can do all three things at once. That facility is really important. I've talked about how that facility is not just important for the benefits that it provides our programs, but it's our signal that we are going to be competitive. We are going to compete in the Big Ten, and we are going to compete in the Big Ten to win Big Ten championships. We are in the design phase on the multi-sport facility. Engineering work will begin this summer. We'll start then to go out to bid on construction contracts. So this is moving now. This train is rolling along the track, and with this level of support in a mere 15 weeks, we're very confident that we're going to be able to get the full support that we need for all of this. The campaign so far includes 923 donors. That's a great number. That's a wonderful number of people who've stepped up in a very big way. 71 of those donors have committed over $25,000. But to do this, to succeed, we're going to need over 10,000 donors. Now, the good news is we have almost 500,000 alums who can contribute to this effort. So we are, again, just at the infancy of this, and our expectation is we will blow through that number, and we'll be able to consider doing some other projects and getting some other projects off the board. So, so that's where we are in terms of our donors and the total amount. You know, as I stated on January 20th, for this to be successful, and this will be successful, we have to be all in. And that was the time where I talked about how every senior member of the athletic staff had made a commitment to this. Every coach has made a commitment to the Big Ten Build. And so I said to the folks out there, I said, we're all in, are you? So that is going to be where we're going from here, is moving out now with a Big Ten Build campaign where, again, large gifts are incredibly important, but everybody can do something to support this. You might consider a $10 a month gift. That's not meaningful. It's incredibly meaningful to what we're trying to accomplish here. It means you're in. It means you're committed. And think about that, $10 a month. Maybe that's 2 Starbucks coffees, 6-pack of beer, I don't know, something like that. So we're not asking you to give up too much to help us get all this done. That $10 a month is a $600 gift over 5 years. Right? $50 per month is a $3,000 gift. That's a tremendous contribution to what we're trying to do. And for $100,000 a month, you can be the lead donor in this campaign. So we'll see if that happens. So in a short while after we talk today, we're going to go out with email updating, telling everyone we've updated our Big Ten Build website. There'll be a lot of opportunities and information on that website so folks can get excited about where we are, see our success. We're going to have barometers in there which show where we are in terms of dollars, where we are in terms of donors. And that's why every donor is important in this, because we'll regard this campaign as successful when we crack over the 10,000 donors, not just the $100 million. We'll also be going out in the next couple of weeks with our Big Ten Build Captains program. So we're going to be looking for people who want to be real leaders in this, both at the high-end level and at the lower level. And our goal will be, if each of those leaders gets 10 people to contribute, 10 people to participate, it's the best of pyramid schemes. It's a pyramid scheme that benefits Rutgers athletics and that makes sure that we have success. So with that, I think I'll turn it over some questions. And I would, again, just say that we're incredibly happy with where we are. We've got a lot of work to do, but 15 weeks in, I think we're making some real progress. Okay. Keith?
Can you offer more of a definitive timeline on when you plan on breaking ground on the first phase? I guess it's obviously all dependent on how much money, but do you need the full $100 million to actually break ground?
No, we're in terms of construction now. We are just going to move forward with a construction timeline. So as long as it takes the architects to finish the design piece of this, then get the engineering work, that's not going to now wait for where are we on fundraising. That just progresses with the usual timelines of construction. So multi-sport facility is moving and going forward now.
Could it be this summer?
You mean the construction? I think there's too much engineering and design work. So what we've almost finished is the massing in the project. So there's a massing phase where you're seeing what fits where. We want this to be a really exciting space, so we're taking our time with that. As I've toured the country and seen other Big Ten facilities, I always ask the question, if you could go back and redo it, what did you do wrong? And so we're taking all of that intelligence and we're bringing that back to this facility. And now I think the architects feel comfortable with everything that we have. Our latest tweak was we increased the strength and conditioning area by about 30%. because our new strength and conditioning coach in basketball, Dave Van Dyke, made the case that if we're going to do this the right way, that's what we need to do. So that piece is now done. Now we have to go to the look is very important. And Dr. Barchi is going to be very involved in that. We've got some really interesting buildings that have been built over the campus, and we want this to be an iconic structure. And as I said, an important part of who we are in the Big Ten. So we're going to be careful with that, but then the engineering work can coincide with that. Then you got to go out to bid on your construction piece. But that's not going to be, well, where are you with this? There's a confidence now that we're going to have the funds there, so it's whatever the usual construction timeline. And what I'll try to do is, when I have that more set, I know people are interested, when are we going to actually put steel in the ground or concrete in the ground? As soon as I have that update, I'll come out and update on that as well.
And we've seen drawings in the past. Is there anything like that now? Can you describe what the multi-purpose facility is at this point?
I can't. I know it's going to be exciting because the architects are now at work on the rendering. So we're hoping within maybe a month to be able to come out with a rendering. Obviously, that's got to be approved by Dr. Barchi, and it's got to work through the facilities folks here. But it's going to be an exciting building. It's going to look very different. It's going to be a building which I think people are going to look at and say, I get it. We're going to compete in the Big Ten.
Will it improve the look of this building as well?
That's a great question. We have to do something, obviously, with the RAC. And in a phase 2, I'd like to look at doing something to change the facade of the RAC. Also in phase 2 of what we're doing here, we're going to take that space out in front of the RAC and we're going to create a nice plaza. And that plaza will not be just for athletics, but it's going to be for the Livingston campus. I think people, when they see what we want to do there, and their rendering will include that, even though we'll need to get another gift to complete the plaza. I would like to see in front of the RAC, we'll consider the use of some LED so that we can have outdoor sort of entertainment and messaging and branding going on. But that's probably phase 2 of this. Right now, number 1 is getting the multi-sport facility built.
Do you think it's
Tara?
important, like, when that happens, whether it's steel on the ground or concrete, something physical that these donors would see? How important is that then in kind of pushing it forward? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, right now there's so much theoretical they're putting into a bank account but not seeing anything. How much will that advance the cause?
It's really important. Now that I've been here for 5 months, I know how important, because a number of times I've had the question asked to me, is it going to happen this time? And sort of that surprises me in a way because I've never thought for a minute it's not. That's our job. That's what we're going to do. And that's a little bit a part of today, too. So when you go out and you say, hey, we're already over the 50 million mark, and that's 15 weeks into this effort, I would hope that any doubters would change now and say they are going to do this. This is going to happen. I do think the renderings will be an important piece of that as we get forward. Seeing some dirt moved around there, whether by engineers or by concrete workers, is going to be really important. So we'll just keep moving. We'll keep moving, and we'll in time, the last skeptic will change and say, I'm all in.
Pat.
Ryan?
Yeah, Pat. 2 things. I guess a finer point of fundraising. The 20, aside from the 25 in state tax credits, the 29 or so that you guys have, is that pledges? Is that money in a bank account that's actually been donated? Is it a combination of both?
So that's pledges in cash, and the pledge can be over 5 years. And that's another thing that we're really trying to message, because some folks, as you're talking to them, think, well, I have to give that all now. This is over 5 years. And once you have those pledges over 5 years, you know you're going to be going through construction at the same time, and you can always manage the financing as you go through. So that's cash and pledges, and some of the money actually has come in and is sitting in accounts. But right now it's about getting those pledges, getting those commitments, and once those are all in over that 5-year period, we're moving.
And then building off what Steve asked earlier, so the Board of Governors plan that was approved before you got here, there's been, whether it's the multi-purpose facility or the phase 2 or moving teams to the bottom of the football stadium, there's been a lot of tweaks to that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and we'll continue to tweak to make sure that it's the best plan possible. I was recently down at Johns Hopkins for our Big Ten championship. Unfortunately, it didn't end the way we wanted to, and we would have liked to have been in the NCAA tournament. but tremendous effort by our guys, and I want to, again, congratulate Coach Brecht on a great job this year. But one of the things that I did when I was down there, I went through their facility, which is 4 years old, and their deputy AD gave me a tour of that. And again, I asked the question, so if you could do this differently, what would you do? I learned a few things. I won't reveal what we talked about, but it affects, every time I have one of those conversations, it affects how we want to do things. And, you look in the soccer lacrosse complex that we want to build, just the placement of that, where that sits, whether you can build a turf practice field to support our lacrosse teams, whether that then also benefits other teams is something that we'll always keep looking at and thinking about, so that at the end of this, what we want to be able to say is we did it the right way, and we are at least competitive in the top half of the Big Ten.
Pat, I guess you just kind of touched on it at the end of your answer there, but you've been pretty critical of where Rutgers stands with its current facilities in the Big Ten. Where can this put you compared to the other Big Ten schools?
Well, with a multi-sport facility, we can be giving those teams that are going to be housed in there the very best of what's available in the Big Ten. Not every basketball program in their practice courts has a court and a half, which allows you to have three-point stations and things like that. We're going to incorporate a court and a half. We'll have the lounge. We'll have the nutrition bars, but we'll also have a better training table. It's going to be a very exciting space. There'll be common areas that can be used by all teams. But this is a building that, and I've said this repeatedly to the architects and everyone, this is perhaps the most important building built for Rutgers in a very, very long time, Rutgers athletics in a very, very long time. And so it's got to be done the right way. And so I don't mind the design process taking a little bit more time, because the rush to get something in the ground, if it's the wrong thing, then shame on us. That's not where anybody is. Everybody wants to do this the right way. Everybody feels this moment right now for Rutgers. So we're going to do this. We want to get it done, but we're going to take our time to make sure that it's done the right way, and we are at the top of the Big Ten in terms of the quality of that facility.
Hi, Pat.
Jerry.
Building on that, with such a high percentage of people donating to the multi-sport facility, what was the most common refrain or the kind of feedback you heard from people as to why they wanted to put their money there?
Well, part of it's been what we've done, because I've said that this building has to get started. So in terms of the outreach that we've been doing, we've been actually talking with a lot of the people who we knew would have an interest in supporting that facility. And throughout this summer, we'll be reaching out to the folks who we know are very interested in supporting our lacrosse programs, our soccer programs, and our football program, obviously, as well. I wish I had twice the size staff, because the response that we're getting, we actually, if we had twice as many people, we could be out there talking to twice as many people. But, we'll build that too as we move along. But we'll be talking with quite a few number of people who are really excited about how lacrosse finished this year, really excited about where our soccer programs are headed. And so through the summer into the fall, we can start to talk about that with those people. And hopefully by September, October, I'm giving you another update to announce we're in design phase now on lacrosse and soccer.
I guess my point is that your donors really sense the urgency that something was needed, especially for basketball.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that is there's both a sense of optimism and a sense of urgency on their part. They know we're now in the Big Ten. They see how we do compete. I mean, across many of our programs, we're very competitive. We can win in the Big Ten. So that sort of knowledge, coupled with, hey, if we actually do put these resources to the benefit of our coaches, we'll see what happens at that point. So, sense of optimism, sense of urgency. Let's just get this done. Let's keep moving. Right?
The three families who gave the biggest gifts in Rutgers athletics history, obviously they're well-known names around Rutgers, have donated for a while. How do you or Sarah's team go about making sure that those relationships stay good when obviously they were so close to some people who might not be here anymore?
Yeah. I mean, transitions are always hard. You develop relationships with people, and then there's transitions, and those can be hard moments. But with all of those people, they care about individuals, right? They care about the leadership. They're excited about our new leadership in both football and in men's basketball. they're excited about the possibility of Rutgers athletics, and they've seen it. These are folks who've made significant investments in other things, both non-for-profit and for-profit, and so they know what the impact can be of their giving. They care about Rutgers. I mean, that's what has come through. With all of those folks, I didn't have to put a number in front of them. This was a time where they wanted to reach, and that's really what I've sort of asked, and I've said that all along, is this is our time to reach for Rutgers University, and that's what they've done here. They do that also not just because they understand the importance of their commitment to what we're doing, but they want to inspire others to do the same thing. And that's a big piece of this. They know that as leaders of that type, as leaders who've been affiliated with Rutgers, some for many, many years, some for a shorter period of time, that if they step up now, that may inspire others to say, you know what, if they done it, if they did it, I can do it. And again, that's from both the leadership level of gift to the smallest gift. And that's where the $10 gift is incredibly important. We need the large gifts. But they're thankfully, they're happy with my leadership and what I'm trying to do, but they care about Rutgers University, and just sort of person after person sees this as a really pivotal time for us. So I want to say thank you again to them, and we're very lucky we have them. There's a number of other people who I'll try to be sitting with who I know are equally passionate about Rutgers and have also been committed around Rutgers for a long time. I wish I could be 5 people and getting as many places as I could right now, because it's enjoyable. I mean, these are great conversations. There are frustrations, no question, when people see some of the stories that have happened in the past, but I think everybody is really ready to put that behind them.
When you started this in January, did you have a timetable? I mean, are you ahead of schedule? Are you where you expected to be, or what?
I didn't have a timetable because I was still only at that time maybe 5-6 weeks in the job, and while I'd met many Rutgers folks and heard their passion and their interest in seeing Rutgers be successful, I didn't know how quickly we'd be able to turn that into a level of financial support that we're able to talk about today. So the timeline sort of doesn't matter for me. The projects matter. Getting them done matters. So I don't have a timetable other than to continue to work as hard as we've all worked, and then to trust and be confident that we'll get it all done. And I think if anybody sort of looks at this and says, I don't think they're going to get it done, I don't think they're reading this the right way. And for us, that's why we're excited about today.
In your most optimistic opinion, when can we walk into that building?
Well, that's probably a question for the architects and the construction people. I don't want it rushed. I know some of these facilities typically takes about 2 years to build them. I don't know if that's the right timeline. As soon as we can finish with the initial design phase, then you get into a pretty standard construction timeline, and we'll be able to put that out there as soon as we have that engineering work. And obviously the construction documents. You got to go out to bid, you got to see what the responses are, you got to decide who you want to put that building up, and then we'll really have, but from the time you go in the ground until the time you open the doors, I think it typically takes about 2 years.
It's possible that a high school basketball recruit now could.
Oh, a high school basketball recruit now will practice in that facility. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you all very much.